to me, like, if we're talking about like from Dragon Warrior to now, like the whole thing is just completely different. But at the same time, the best JRPGs that I've played, I think, still harken back to like a old school style. Like I still think of that Etrian Odyssey. I still think of mapping out your adventure. I don't need a huge elaborate story, although it's nice, when I play it. Like Persona 5 handles it well. I don't think it's crass. Um,
One thing that may have just been a limitation of Dragon Quest One, but I wholeheartedly appreciate is when the game will shut the hell up and let me play it. And it's like the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, why am I playing this bullshit? Like, God, I keep coming back to Elden Ring because it's just like, here you go play. It's like not almost no talking throughout the entire game. And Etrian Odyssey fits that for me too, where it's just like, I don't want to hear anybody speak. I just want the meat of the game. And the original Dragon Warriors were like that as well. I mean, obviously the first one more than any of them. It's just the game is so spread out. There's a limited amount of towns. So it's a lot of adventuring on your own. And it's just meat. I think about it like that, like meat. Delicious protein I can just tear through. As
the,
opposed to God, man, you sit through like what Soul Hackers 2 or something. I
oh
remember playing
god.
that and it's just like talking. It's like
Well, this is that
sugar.
dopamine rush that you were talking about. Every battle is significant because you need that
Hmm.
gold. You need that XP. You can't win without it.
Yeah.
If AI can figure this out, it's done. 'Cause this is like
What's
this
that?
is if AI can figure this out, like this formula, it's done. Tell AI to make
Oh, it could
Dragon
easily figure
Warrior
out.
like one,
I think it could do that.
probably. But this is
But it would just be
like,
copying Dragon Warrior 1.
well, yeah. I mean, obviously a little more complicated than that, but it's just so satisfying, this game, and I think that's where the most successful RPGs that I play like are as well. I'll have some choice words for 11 when we get to it, but I could come back and play this and feel like I've progressed any day.
Hmm. Yeah, I miss days. I miss the days where, and it's like Final Fantasy 7 I think ruined it. Maybe 6 did. But I miss the days where an RPG could just be you taking actions and exploring caves. Like, and that's like Pokemon too, the first one. And then even even Gold. Sure. A little bit of that. But you can feel it drifting away from that. And it's like they want to make RPGs now that are curated and they're very specific and the story is very carefully plotted out and you're just along for the ride. And I hate that. I don't want to be along for the ride. I want to be the ride. And it's like Dragon Quest 1, like you are the ride. You dictate if you're going to go into that cave or not, and maybe you shouldn't because you'll get fucked up. And you you dictate the spells you want to use and yada yada. You transgress that, and I wish that we didn't get so far from that. If anything, Dragon Quest reminds me of that. It's like, man, we got far from the goal on these games, and there's like no going back. I don't know why. The games that do go back do so well. It's baffling to me. Maybe it's because people don't want to take the time to build a great game. So they like hide it behind chunks of dialogue that you have to pretend to care about. I don't know. But it's like, why can't you just let me play the game? And this game is like a staunch reminder of that.
I don't think it's, it's, and I'm sure I could say this better, but I don't think JRPGs were ever meant to truly evolve. Yes, they were meant to get better in some aspects, but the nature of the game didn't need to be anything different than it was. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
always this push to what can we do bigger and better in the next game, and then it comes at the expense of the gameplay itself. That happens consistently with
Right.
the Pokemon games. I guess I'll say a little bit about 11, but I don't really feel that I don't feel the weight of my actions. It's so slow.
Well, the pacing in that game is deplorable, like you just said. But I mean, also part of the problem with that, and it has to do with the pacing, is that it's all on rails. The
Yeah.
game never, even at the, I mean, at the end, it does to an extent, but like realistically, the game never lets you just go and enjoy this world that they created. And it's like in Dragon Quest, I feel like in the original Dragon Quests, one to an extent because it's, I mean, it's all walking, but like two and three, it's like they could not wait to unleash you onto this world that they've created.
Mm.
And it's like I love that feeling of the game just being like, all right, here's a boat, go. Or here's, you've completed this area. There's a mountain with a cave. Who knows where that's gonna lead? We're not even gonna tell you. But just go through and figure it out for yourself. Love that. And it's like you play, I mean, we talk about Dragon Quest 11, but there's any of the modern JRPGs that you play. It's just like after a 15-minute cutscene, go through this mountain, you'll get to the town of Gondogagala, and you'll talk to the king there, and he'll tell you what town to go to next. And it's like, where's the mystery? Where's the suspense? Where's the me just experiencing the world? You just can't let me do it. They won't let you do it anymore.
You know what game, and we're getting out of JRPG territory, but that's okay. There are multiple games that I think have allowed this sense of rewarded exploration in the same type of way. I used to spend hours going through Oblivion and just discovering new towns and talking to these garbage NPCs and just figuring it out. Because at the end of the day, what are we doing here? After work, we worked all day. Just go suck yourself into a game. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be bored to death with details about, you know, who gives a fuck. It's very rare for me that works.
Mm-hmm.
About individual characters. With Dragon Warrior 1, I mean, are those territories going to be as impressive when you get to them, in the different corners of the map? Yes, surprisingly. I mean, visually, there's not much, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm going to fight a goddamn golem here, or I'm going to get this key that can now allow me to go back through all those doors that I saw I didn't know what to do.
Yes.
It's those little details that actually affect the whole experience so much more and make it so rewarding.
Well, that's the funny thing about the human brain is that it, as long as you're enjoying yourself, your brain will make what it wants out of what you see. It's like I remember having a 40-inch TV, and then I upgraded to a 60-inch TV. And now, because the house is bigger, we upgraded to a 75-inch TV. I couldn't tell you the difference between any of them. Because your brain just was like, okay, this is what I'm watching now. It's like, okay, it's bigger. It's bigger. But it's still the same thing. And I think it works the same with video games. Like if the meat of the game is solid, then you can go back and play Dragon Warrior 1 and you're going through like an 8-bit looking town. But if the meat is there, then that town is just as lively as a game that came out yesterday that has a lively town. In fact, it could be better if that game sucks. It's like your brain will make you have fun if the meat is there. And that's what's cool about the old Dragon Quest was that the meat was there to the point that we've played 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 4 was getting the DS, but still, like we've played those old games, and I don't think we ever even commented like it's so low res. I don't think it even came up. It's just like, oh, this is how it looks, and that's great.
It's
So that's the
shocking.
beauty of the old JRPGs too.
It's
Is like,
shocking how good it is for being
mhm.
the first. For being the first, it shouldn't be this good. It shouldn't be like it really shows fundamentals in game design that have I wouldn't
Yeah,
say they've disappeared, but it seems like they've become less common.
yeah. It feels like one of the goals when they made it was how do we make this as playable as possible?
Right.
Because most of the RPGs of the time were like mud based, like trash, like
Mm,
just disaster of games. And it's like the hardcore people can get into them, but like nobody else would ever play them.
sure.
And it's like they let's make this console game for this kid's toy. How do we make it so a child can enjoy these RPGs? And I think if that was the goal, like they nailed it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's cool.